From the amazing mind of J.K. Rowling, the book sold over 500 million copies, and the movies grossed over 7.7 billion at the box office. 8 films, 4 directors, and countless moments, launching the careers of Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint. You don't want to miss this. Join us as we rank the Harry Potter movies. Hope you enjoy.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Through the Motions podcast, where we take you through the motions. This week we'll be going into Harry Potter films and we'll be ranking them on our best and worst, and we'll just see how it goes. The guys have gone away, I've gone away as well, and we've kind of put a tier list, or not a tier list, but we put it into a ranking of 8, and this is just the first 8 films, not including Fantastic Beasts or anything like that, because we don't think that deserves to be on this list. But yeah, I'd like to swing it towards Ty, just get a quick opinion on Harry Potter as a whole, franchise in general, because you're a fanatic about it, and it's fair to say that.
Fanatic, strong word. I do really like the Harry Potter series. I mean, like, childhood, obviously growing up watching the Harry Potters, going to the cinema as they're coming out. It's like a staple of my childhood, definitely. So many memorable moments, so many characters and iconic characters. Where to begin? So, yeah.
It's just every time I watch a Harry Potter film, or every time I have seen a Harry Potter film, I'm always excited. It's the new school year. They're about to go embark on the next journey. What's going to happen in this academic year? What sort of wizardry is going to take place? I think it's fun. What's your take, Aaron?
Yeah, it's growing up. It meant so much. It felt like part of your childhood staple thing, and the fact that we were the generation that got to experience that is quite unique.
Magical.
Yeah, it's magical.
Magical almost.
Because the younger generation, they probably don't have that attachment that we do. And as looking at the films, what I love is, obviously it's down to the books, but the fact that it's a complete linear story, where they planned it, they were going to make 8 films. So it's not like the stories are being rushed, or they're 8 singular films where all the other films get disregarded, like you see all these franchises, because they're all basically single entities.
Yeah, they're not kind of pre-prepped or pre-planned.
So as opposed to 8 separate stories that have no correlation, we've got a gradual build-up where we don't have to rush the character development. The plot's brewing, and not until the 4th, 5th film the really starts to pick up.
Yeah, of course.
And what I will say is, looking back, they did my boy Malfoy dirty, man.
Yeah.
I saw something where he's only got like
a couple of minutes
45 minutes of screen time in 8 films.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And to think,
like a lot more.
The way they put him in the first one, he's going to start off as his the rascal, and he's going to be Harry's nemesis. Yeah. To the last few films,
Weasel.
Yeah, you're going to be that. The last few films, he sort of just gets pushed to the side. All right, and at the end, he has a small role to play.
Yeah.
But he sort of just gets pushed to the side a bit.
Yeah.
That's probably, looking at my biggest complaint about them as a whole.
Yeah. Well, you can interpret that as, at the start, he seems to be Harry's like first like nemesis, and his first like character that's constantly belittling him and also like picking on him.
Yeah.
But then towards the end of the film, he's grown so much status and gravitas to the fact that he no longer exists in his life to a degree. So we no longer focus on him. So that could be a take on that as well.
Well, another take on that is that his real arch nemesis is he who shall not be named. Is Voldemort. And to think, look, realistically, Malfoy compared to Voldemort.
Yeah.
Harry's got a lot more bigger fish to fry.
I'm not saying things to make the main character, but he literally he doesn't have any lines in some of the films. It feels like
he's almost just appearance,
and he gets a bit like he's a butt of a joke majority of the time.
I will say, as the films progress, I did like the angle of his character where he started actually to understand the consequences of his family and his actions. Where but where he actually kind of gets pushed into being a servant of Voldemort unwillingly, and then again, sad. Let's get into it. Yeah.
Who's going first?
I'll go first. Or do you want to actually, Aaron, go first?
Yeah.
Aaron, you can give us your number 8.
Starting off with our Harry Potter rankings, I have gone with Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets
as your number 8.
As my number 8.
Wow.
Directed by Chris Columbus.
Yeah.
The second lowest box office out of the whole franchise, 878 million. This film is where we begin to learn about Voldemort, Tom Riddle, his diary.
Yeah.
There's some iconic moments in this. There's the Dobby introduction, the flying car, the bit where they take the polyjuice and become crab and Goyle.
Yeah.
The disguises. But I feel like looking at this film, it feels like you could take this film out and nothing would really change.
Yeah.
And that's probably the only film I can say this about. It is long, in my opinion. It is dragged out, in my opinion. You sort of lose track of what's going on. Moaning Myrtle was so irritating to me.
Really?
And yeah, there's quite a distance between this and my number 7.
Yeah.
I'd like to add that that's also my number 8 as well. For me, one scene that always stands out, but when we were talking about this quite a bit when we were talking about making our own stuff, it's going through the Tom Riddle diary. That book, that moment, it has that moment is incredible. And the moment I'm describing is when he gets sucked into this book, and then he's reading these lines of dialogue, and this what's been like said. I think, one thing I would love to just outline, and once again another disclaimer, just because I always do, these films are incredible. I've enjoyed them, and I would also like to add, this is a series that I only watched within the last year.
Criminal. Unlike
you guys, I hadn't seen it in my childhood.
Yeah.
I probably had seen glimpses of it, if anything, but not to a full extent where I've watched the full film. That being said, I have a different interpretation to the film than what you guys have, because obviously you're using a lot of childhood nostalgia alongside how you're ranking these films and where they rank in terms of how you saw it, when you saw it, and obviously you grew up with it. Whereas with me, I saw it within the last year, so I saw it as
that is where the majority of mine comes from. When I rewatched it recently, that's the majority of mine.
For me, I'm ranking these 8 films based off of the marathon I did on a back-to-back thing, where I think we were watching 2 films a night. So, and that's within the space of a week we'd finished the whole series. So that I just like to add that little disclaimer. But Chamber of Secrets is amazing. I like the whole, you go into the bathroom has the entrance, there's 8 entrances into the chamber, and then finally him stabbing one of the Horcruxes out,
which we didn't know
it was a
really
Horcrux
at the time.
Yeah,
which again just shows the length of how they stretched this story out, and how J.K. Rowling had that whole picture idea before, which is amazing. And another key thing is, which has been well documented, is that a lot of the cast didn't actually know where the story was going and how everything ties together. So they kept that quite secret, which I feel like adds more of that mystery for everyone making the film anyway. So yeah.
I guess that skips my number 8 and we'll go straight into your number 8.
Yeah, so my number 8 is actually different. So my number 8 is Order of the Phoenix. For me,
someone doesn't agree
like
with that.
like what Aaron said about the you could remove that film and nothing's really thing. Again, there was key moments in that film, but for me, I just didn't like the angle with the lady and the teacher, and she comes in and she's trying to change things. It felt like a different angle on the whole Harry Potter on a Harry Potter film. There was a good, interesting scene at the end, but apart from that, for me, it wasn't anything
really
special.
for you.
No, it wasn't anything special.
Interesting.
Go with your number 7, Tom.
So my number 7 is Chamber of Secrets.
Ooh.
So close up again. Why I put this above was that I think Chamber of Secrets built out the world a bit more, as in you find the mischievousness of the kids being curious about certain things, and then you start to find out more about the relationship with Tom Riddle, the past of the school, how Harry is kind of wrapped up into this. I just think, it's a better film than Order of the Phoenix. So that's my number.
Yeah. My number 7.
Order of the Phoenix is low, bro. Number 8.
Order of the Phoenix wasn't it for me.
Well, you're about to be surprised because my number 7 is Order of the Phoenix as well.
Oh my God, you're not going to be surprised.
Yeah. As it stands, I think I add a lot to what you said. The film feels like it could be disposable. And disposable in the sense that I think it doesn't play too much into the grander and the bigger films and the bigger story.
Look, there's moments in that film. Don't get me. I love all the Harry Potter films. I could watch any Harry Potter film any day of the week and I'll be satisfied. But for me, there's just a few good scenes, and the rest of it just feels like, I don't know, just buffed up. There's not really anything. I think the majority of the film for me, from what I remember, is the lady running around ruining things.
Yeah.
I'll touch on it when I.
Okay.
when you touch.
Yeah. Is that you done for? Was that number 7?
That was number 7.
My number 7. This might be a bit low. Is the Half-Blood Prince.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh?
That's interesting to hear.
For me, this is a filler film.
Wow.
This film
that
serves the purpose
I can't
of
believe
setting up the final 2. So you learn about the Horcruxes. Nothing really. You see, he finds this book by utter coincidence, by the way. What effect does that book have on the story? If you can tell me, please.
I can't go into semantics
It
and
doesn't
remember
have
everything,
any
but
effect on the whole plot of the film, other than the fact that you learn that it was Snape's book. So, like I said, you learn about the Horcruxes in this thing, and that's what it does to ultimately serve to set up the number 7 and 8. Of course, Dumbledore's death is a heavy scene, and your heart drops when you see that. And it's probably the best part of the film.
I can't disagree anymore. I mean, from some of the scenes I can remember of where what's his name, Dumbledore is dying, and they need to go in, and he has to sacrifice himself, sacrifice his hand, to get.
Yeah, that's the only
powerful,
the good parts, but
and going back in time when you're going back and they're telling you about how Voldemort came to be,
but
his
like
origin
story.
story.
It's a setup for the final 2, where give us the foundation, we can learn about Voldemort. Now we can go to work in number 7 and 8.
But you say it's a filler episode.
Without that film,
no, it's not a filler film. I would just like to heavily emphasize this. Without that, I was just about to add to this. Without that film, you cannot go into 7 and 8. Because that setup alone.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the purpose of the film, to set up 7 and 8.
And what else would you want from that?
The other ones have got a plot. The whole plot of this film is that we learn about Voldemort, and that he finds a book that has an effect on his studies. There's a bit of comedy with the book. He slouches off of his studies. The book has no relevance to the story.
You got to remember, this is the film where Emma Watson, Rupert, they're in that whole love thing going on.
That's not the plot, though.
There's all of that. But
the lineal story, the central story, there's no progress from the start, other than the viewers learning about the Horcruxes, and then, Dumbledore dying and them finding the first Horcrux underwater. There's nothing else to it. The whole core thing is the Half-Blood Prince. The Half-Blood Prince is Snape. Now what? We know that he's Snape. We think that he's a villain by the end of this film. And that's it. The book has no relevance to the story.
like I said, I can't disagree anymore. What I will say is, we'll touch on it where it is in my rankings a bit more. But yeah, I don't know.
That's fair.
We'll see.
I knew this would be controversial.
We'll see.
But I just think...
It has to be controversial because we all have a different take on our interpretation of these
I
things.
just think that this film doesn't really do anything apart from kill Dumbledore.
I mean, look, again, I've just put the trailer on to just recap what was in going on, and this is the time where you find the what's it called, the cabinet, where they're using that into a portal into
that
Hogwarts.
Malfoy thing.
The Malfoy thing with the
but
apple.
that sets up the death of Dumbledore.
It does.
That's why they've done that, to get them in there to kill Dumbledore,
Yeah.
which is fine.
I'm surprised you rank it at 7 though.
Yeah.
That's what gets me.
It didn't start as my 7. It started quite high up, and I'm going through the films, and I'm thinking this one's better than it. I prefer this one. I prefer this one, and it found its way at number 7.
I feel like the Half-Blood Prince, it got to a point where it got to the darkest moment in Harry Potter history up until that point. And then obviously after that, it kind of skyrockets into, all right, this is getting really deep now. But I think they hit a sweet spot where it's like, I like the amount of...
information coming out.
I just like the vibe of that film and how they're going into more of the history. Because look, is it the 4th film? 5th film?
It's the 6th.
6th. Is it?
Yeah, it's the one before 7 and 8.
Yeah, sorry, 6th film. And it comes at such a perfect time where you've seen so much about Voldemort. You've seen so much about Dumbledore and Harry. And then you're almost back at the start where you're finding out what is happening to Voldemort. You're finding out how he speaks with
They
snakes.
can't put that in another film. That 20-minute scene.
I don't know. I think it's amazing. But we'll carry on. Let's carry on.
That was my number 7.
What's your number 6?
That was your number 6.
No, that was my number 7.
What's your number
My
6?
number 6 is Philosopher's Stone.
Philosopher's Stone is number 6.
This is the second highest grossing one, by the way.
Yeah.
$1 billion. This is the introduction. This
Yeah.
is what sets it all up.
Yeah.
This birthed what Harry Potter is.
Mm-hmm.
Give us our introductions to the world, to the lore of the universe. We learn about the school. We learn about wizardry.
Yeah.
And it acts as a foundation for the world building that ultimately takes place.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they're all really young.
Yeah.
And they're all cute and innocent. That plays a role for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it takes us on a journey and it keeps things very simple in ultimately what is a film that is designed for kids.
Mm-hmm.
You immediately have that deep sympathy for
Mm-hmm.
Harry, the outcast, that connection that he builds instantly with Ron and Hermione.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest flaw, in my opinion, is the villain in this film. Very forgettable.
Very.
Quirrell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very forgettable.
Yeah.
The end battle is a bit meh,
Mm-hmm.
where he just has to touch his face.
Yeah.
And that bit wasn't good to me. But yeah, it is the start of something special.
I will add to that and say that it is my number 6 as well.
Really?
Yeah, because look, it is one, you can say, the most important Harry Potter film at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Without that structure, without that base
Foundation,
of
yeah.
the franchise, the rest of the films weren't going to be what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you've got to remember what Chris Columbus did. The casting,
Mm-hmm.
David Heyman as well, the producer, the casting of Harry, Ron, Hermione.
Mm-hmm.
Without that combination, we wouldn't have had what was on. So it is a very important film. And again, when you do go back and watch it, you do see that, okay, it's an old film.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's certain things in it that do look a bit out of date
The
by
Quidditch.
now. The Quidditch, other bits and bobs, you get that uncanny valley sort of vibe from the CG in it. But I mean, yeah, like you said, Aaron, the story's simple, easy to follow, gets you into the world, not too heavy. The villain, I will say, very forgettable. But
It's like, what's beautiful about it is as Harry's learning about it all, so
We're
are we.
learning, yeah.
So we learn it from his eyes,
yeah,
Yeah.
which is, I think, one of the best ways to build a world.
definitely.
But I feel like all the films are like that. We're stuck with Harry for the majority of the film, and we're seeing it through his lens.
But this is like the foundation.
No, of course.
This is the
the
first
wizarding
time you've
world.
seen anything.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So
I
as
mean-
he's learning about Hogwarts.
Yeah, it's
and
like-
everything.
It did so well because it's like when Hagrid comes into the room for the first time and says, "You're a wizard, Harry." I know that is like a meme now, but look, at the end of the day, it's like, "You're a wizard, Harry," and he's like, "I'm a wizard." You're kind of thinking,
Yeah.
"He's a wizard." Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Not that I can remember the first time I ever watched that film
Mhm.
and how I was feeling.
I don't remember my memory of watching that film was when I rewatched it.
Yeah,
So
Wow.
it came out in 2001.
yeah.
Mhm.
Somewhere along the ages of probably 5 to, I don't know.
Probably.
I watched it young, but
Mhm.
yeah. So that's why mine's that as well. Philosopher's Stone.
So your number 6.
My number 6 is Half-Blood Prince.
So you're not far off me. You were
Nah.
staying. You're only one space above, bro.
I was scheming. I think it sits at number 6 for me. I think it's a great film. It's just it doesn't hit as hard as the films that follow within my list. But saying that, once again, we're talking about Dumbledore's death. We're talking about finding out who Snape is or who we think he is. And I just like the shift in characters, the plot. It takes a fresh and a new approach into the wizarding world when you've so far established yourself and kind of dived into the story and everything. Yeah, it's one of those things where you're constantly being fed information during this film. I feel like other films you're more so, besides the first one, you're more so kind of just tagging along and discovering the world. Whereas this one is they're telling you about the world.
Yeah.
Which for me, and I guess for you as well, feels a bit too. I don't want to be spoon-fed information. I'd rather discover this information, or I'd rather think this information. That's why I think it ranks at number 6. But not why it doesn't rank at number 7 or 8, because I still enjoy the film quite a bit, and I think they rank way above Chambers.
I enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at it objectively,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the 7th best one. But anyway.
Okay, interesting.
Ty,
But-
you're not. Oh, sorry.
He said he's number 6, so I guess we're jumping onto your number 5.
Yeah, Ty's number 5.
So I've got
Top 5.
Prisoner of Azkaban.
Same.
Really? Yours as well?
Yeah.
Damn.
Like an amazing film, and I think this is the moment where the films took a real darker turn.
Yeah.
This is when it went away from the childlike qualities of the film and brought more of that dark, sort of scarier sort of vibe to the films, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And I'm glad that they took it there. And I think J.K. Rowling's idea was for the films to get darker and darker and darker as they went on. Again, it was a new director at the time as well, Alfonso.
Cuarón.
Yeah, he did an amazing job. And yeah, again, it is one of my favorite Harry Potter films.
Yeah. I think
Fifth favorite, to be specific.
Yeah. Prisoner of Azkaban for me is, I love that character of the wolf,
Remus Lupin.
Remus Lupin,
And the rat.
Yeah, bro.
Peter Pettigrew.
He's just the rat, but and they're so well represented as well within like the animals that they're put into and who they can like transform into, and obviously the rat being the one who's serving Voldemort, and the wolf being the
spy.
one, literally, bro, and the magic of arts teacher also working with the wolf. I'm just gonna keep saying the wolf because I can never remember his name, although you just said it.
Say Lupin.
Lupin. But and then also seeing how that ties into the wider story, I think that was incredible. That final scene where they're rushing to fly into the tree, underneath the tree to get to the house, which is on the other side.
Yeah.
Bro, like the physics in that, everything is just incredible. I love that film so much. It does. I see why you would put it at number 5. For me, it just ranks a little bit higher. But overall, I enjoy the film. But what makes it number 5 for you?
It's the lowest grossing, which I found surprising.
Wow.
800 million, still a lot of money. But like I said, it is more grown up.
Yeah.
And this is probably the film I remember most growing up. Of
9 3/4. What is it? The bobblehead.
that's what I said. The bus scene.
The bus scene.
Iconic bus scene.
Yeah.
The mirror scene. I remember that film so vividly. Growing up, where they're facing their fears in the mirror, and it's a spider, then it's the Dementor, and it's. But yeah, the characters in this film are spot on for me.
Yeah.
Lupin, like you said, is you trust him, you like him. The twist at the end's a bit like whoa.
Yeah.
And Sirius Black, you hate him.
Yeah.
You're terrified of him when you're seeing him that wanted poster and he's like that and it's moving. You're terrified of him.
And you got Ron's dad, Ministry of Magic, saying be careful and all of
to
this.
ultimately learn that he's a good guy and he's Harry's godfather or something like that. The story's good. It's straightforward. It's exciting at all times. There's some quite scary scenes.
The Dementors approaching the train.
The bus. That's what I was going to say. The
train.
bus scene where they're taking his soul. There's some scary stuff in this.
Bro.
The time travel element we haven't touched on.
No.
With the device. That time travel adds another layer where they get to redo the story. Like when is it Buckbeak the dragon that dies?
Yeah.
They save him.
Yeah.
They go back in
That was an
time.
amazing scene as well, and the duplication of them
Yeah.
was wicked. Again, the foreshadowing.
I thought I saw something.
Yeah.
Or the thing flying through the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so many good elements to this film. The rat was scary. I remember getting scared of that guy when I was growing up. But yeah, this
And the
film's
book,
solid.
the book as well, the flapping book.
Yeah, terrifying.
Like the wicked
Solid
moments.
film, really
yeah.
good film, in my opinion.
100%.
But yeah.
But that was mine, yeah.
So
Number
your-
5. Your number 5
No, your
as
number
well.
5.
My number 5 is Philosopher's Stone. I think.
So yours not too far from me.
No, I think to a degree, moving forward, I do believe we're gonna have similar lists where we'll just be one off each other, or we might hit the same. I'll be surprised to hear if we all have the same one. That's what I'm looking for.
I'm not surprised. I won't be surprised.
No?
What, at number 1?
Yeah.
Or number 1, or maybe at number 3 we decide all three of us are agreed that this is our top 3.
We have to wait and see.
But for me, very briefly, I'll go into it. Philosopher's Stone, like you said, it's a foundation film. And the only reason why I have to put it at 5 is because of the foundation. When you talk about a film in terms of its setup and everything, it's just done so well.
Yeah.
But me seeing this film just within the last year.
Yeah. How is that experience?
At my age as well, it's that okay, cool. How do I put it? we have a film that's made and catered to a child audience.
Yeah.
And that's fair to say for the first 3 films. With that being in mind, like, to see those aspects and things, obviously, naturally, just doesn't appeal to me as much as it would. Maybe if I saw this as a child, it might make me
What were
go,
you
"This
thinking? How did you think the story was going to go from watching the first 2 to then it changing so
Ramping up a
rapidly?
bit.
Yeah. What were you thinking from the, like, did you feel the shift instantly? Did you like it?
No. Do you know when I felt the shift and when we were talking about Prison of Azkaban?
Yeah.
It's the intro card.
Where it was physically darker.
Yeah, it was physically darker. The Harry Potter logo was in a darker and a more ominous thing, and I was like, okay, so we're now into a different film, and it looks like it's a different style. Also, you outlined to me that this is a different director, and they're gonna take this was given a different approach. I also want to quickly mention that the shift in Dumbledore characters between 1 and 2, I noticed immensely. I don't know how much it like came across to you guys as a child, but
In what sense?
as in because they casted someone else different,
It
didn't
was
they?
the third one.
Third
wasn't
one,
it?
yeah.
Third, apologies.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as a child, did you notice that difference, or was it straight?
Yeah, the other one felt more. The first one, I don't know his name. Sorry, he felt more fatherly and a bit
Yeah.
more like not really human. Whereas the other one, is it Michael Gambon? I think his name is. He felt a lot more human, a lot more wiser, a bit more
Yeah.
wisdom, a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was unfortunate he passed and he couldn't carry on with it. But I mean, I think they did do a very good job at blending them. Like, that doesn't stick out to me like
No.
other things stick out to me.
Like for me, I noticed it. Again, like I said, because I've seen it recently, I saw that difference, and especially with watching the films back to back, you must have had a year difference in when you're seeing these films, or
Yeah. Well,
Because
I
they'll-
didn't
you-
see
you-
any of them
yeah.
into the cinema until.
The last one we watched.
really?
Well, look, the last one came out in 2012, 2011.
We watched
Okay,
that
that makes
Yeah,
sense.
so we watched
Okay,
that. Then we'll talk about that anyway. But
Interesting.
yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 5. My number 5, the the Philosopher's Stone, or as known by the US side, or across the
Sorcerer's
pond,
Stone.
the
Sorcerer's
Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah.
It's funny, but yeah,
So my number 4
indeed.
is the Goblet of Fire. I've got number 4. This one's by Mike Newell.
Yeah.
This one could have been higher for me, but just didn't make it. Everyone's rocking the long hair in this one. I think they were going through their phase. Every character's got the long hair. The competition, really exciting, really good. Especially the final scene in the maze. Seeing Cedric, Robert Pattinson's character, die really marks a turning point in the franchise where it's like it got really dark. There's consequences now, and it feels like there's a bit of jeopardy in the franchise. This is when we really see Dumbledore in his final form as well.
Yeah.
He enters the series. There's that moment where it's Harry all by himself and he's facing Dumbledore's army, and it's like shit just got real. Voldemort, sorry, yeah. He's all by himself.
Yep.
And he comes back and he goes, he's back or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the dad comes to see
And
his
he's
son.
crying.
Crazy, yeah.
That's awful. But some of the scenes that I like, the underwater scene, the competition, you start to see them have a bit of relationships. There's the prom. What I didn't like about this film was the background story of David Tennant's character, where he kidnaps Mad Eye Moody.
Oh.
And you find Mad Eye Moody's in that bottom of that crate, and he's like all beat up, and he's the one at the bottom. I don't really think that does anything for the film. It was a bit pointless, and I think the whole point of that was because Harry obviously inadvertently entered the contest, and that's the only reason that whole storyline exists, to get someone to do that for him. That's probably the biggest problem I have with it. Ron's a bit of a
Side quest.
he's a bit of a fool in this film, acting petty,
Yeah.
jealous, rude.
Yeah.
But yeah, this film's a really good film. It's a really exciting film.
It's those things where one of the best things about these films is the fact that you've seen these characters, and I guess these kids grow and mature, hit puberty, hit thing, and it's I enjoyed that aspect of it because you're watching a film series and you're actually seeing growth and change.
Yeah. Physically, they're
Physically
actually
change.
growing up
Yeah.
on screen, which is amazing. I don't think it's ever been done to this scale like this. Back to back, they shot back to back literally for years on end. So imagine how on the last movie how emotional it would have been.
You've seen videos of that?
Yeah, I know, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. You're
But
number 4.
my number 4. This is going to be interesting to you guys because my number 4 is Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I think that's where my
well, I
number
will say
4
mine is number 1 as well. Deathly Hallows Part 1 is my number 4 as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting. I think for me, Deathly Hallows Part 1, it's an incredible film. It's the triumph and tribulation to the lead up to the final, obviously. If I'm not mistaken, it's the scene where he gets saved in the lake, right? By the thing.
No, this one at the end
That's the charm, the thing charm. Patronus.
The Patronus.
No, that's not Prisoner of Azkaban.
It's just not this one. Isn't this one the one where they're in that little cage in Voldemort, Bellatrix's thing?
What, Deathly Hallows
And
Part
Dobby
1?
saves them at the end. And Dobby dies at the end.
I remember Dobby dying at the end.
I think Dobby died.
But they both happen in this film.
We'll have to do a quick fact check.
This is the one where they get captured.
They do get captured, but they
Dobby dies in this film, number 1. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But if I'm not wrong, I think the Patronus charm is also the one that saves him within the forest.
I thought
In
that was
part 1, I'm pretty sure that's part
Oh.
1 because then it was the lead up to he gets saved. That's about halfway during the film, and then the second half is okay. We need to get back home and prep for this battle with Voldemort. But nevertheless, the film is incredible. I enjoyed it, and like Half-Blood Prince to then go into this, I think it's a great run-up film from number 6 to number 7.
Yeah.
And for me, it stands at number 4. Why does it stand at number 4 for you, Ty?
I mean, there's a few scenes, and a scene in particular that really was a creative way of telling a story that really couldn't be done unless you went really long-winded with it, was the animation of the Tale of the Three Brothers. I think that part was an amazing piece of filmmaking to take you out of the world of the real world and bring it into an animation at that point to tell the story about one of the greedy brothers, one of the invisibility cloaks, and then the wand, and how it all forms and how it's relevant to all the other films. Another moment as well when the film starts with isn't Hermione removing herself from her parents' life.
Yeah.
I mean, what a way to start a film where straight off the bat you know, okay,
You're wiping
this is getting crazy now. And yeah, I like the fact that it is a two-parter where you watch the film and they're finding Horcruxes and they're trying to find it, and Ron's getting angry, he's got the thing around his neck and it's building up to something, and you just don't see how they're going to do this. That's why it's up there for me. And look, there is a few more films above that for me, but we'll get to that.
That's not my number 3, so might as well while we're talking about it. Well, I've got it at number 3. I think it's underrated.
Yeah.
I think the good thing about this one is you sort of see it where it's not all magic and big sequences. It's more of a slow burner.
Yeah.
And you see the toll that this war is beginning to have on the characters, and they're starting to conflict with each other. Yeah, starting to conflict each other, and the challenges they face, and it's all starting to get a lot. And you see the task at hand, and you think, wow, there's a mountain ahead of them.
Yeah.
A few scenes that you like, the one where they're all on broomsticks and they all got to clone themselves as Harry.
Yeah.
The break into the Ministry of Magic when they're all in disguises.
Yeah. I
That's
forgot
really cool.
about that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You learn about the mythology, like you were saying, Ty, the wand mythology, the Elder Wand, all that stuff, Godric's Hollow.
Yeah.
So much context given in this film. My biggest flaw with this film is the Ginny and Harry thing. That's probably my biggest flaw, the whole thing, to be honest. I don't like that relationship at all.
Yeah.
I don't root for them. I don't find it likable.
Interesting.
I'll be honest with you. While I was watching it, like when I was younger, I always felt like for me, I didn't read the books. So I didn't know the backstory of everything. But I always assumed Harry and Hermione were going to get together. But what I will say, I do like Hermione and Ron's relationship.
I like that. And just
Harry's
Harry's got enough on his plate.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
got the whole fate of the universe.
He
on
doesn't
his
need
plate.
things
He don't need a
sister.
relationship. Yeah, it's like he had the other girl.
Yeah.
He was getting married to.
No, he wasn't getting married to her.
Who was
To
they were
prom.
going out with her.
To
The-
prom.
Yeah. Is it like I forgot his name. And yeah, so that would have been cool. But why'd you have to keep it within the Grints?
Yeah.
Not the Grints, the Weasleys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really didn't like that angle. Like, I just really found it not rooting for them.
Interesting.
But that was my number 3.
That's
Ty.
your number 3?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So definitely Heather's Part 1 is your number 3.
So, Ty, go back to
What's your number 3?
My number 3
Can't surprise
is
us.
Goblet of Fire.
Ooh.
So,
So
I
we
would
had 3 and
just
4.
like
We
to
had 3
add-
and 4 the other way
I
around.
would like to add Goblet of Fire is also my number 3.
Okay.
as well.
okay. A reason I like Goblet of Fire is I feel like if you could just watch one film in the Harry Potter universe, that could be one of the films you watch. It tells the story about it's a start to finish story almost with the games. So it's almost like a film within a film. It's about a game. It very similar, reminds me of Hunger Games. And I like that sort of angle. I like the fact that all these other teams are coming in from other schools and stuff and different places, and everyone's looking at him like, oh, who's this, who's that? And for me as a kid, it was always my favorite one. Obviously, it's not my favorite one now, but it was my favorite one. I loved the scene where he turns into a shark. I love the scene when Harry eats that slug-looking thing to grow eels and stuff and dive down. And another major thing I loved was the dragon and the egg.
Yeah.
I think that whole thing was... I loved it when was it Harry or Ron sees the big life-size dragon and then they got to pick it out the hat. And then Harry gets the rough roadman one. I mean, that scene alone with the egg was crazy. And then Harry winning it, opening it up underwater to find out what it's about. Yeah, for me, that's my top 3.
Yeah, I love Goblet of Fire just purely because of the fun challenge side of things. You can detach from the wider story just for a second. Not to say that the film doesn't play a big part into the rest of the films, it does.
Yeah.
But just as, like you said, as a one-off film, it's a great experience to watch. You go in there and come out of the cinema. Please, you go in like anywhere. So it's a great film. I love the ending where he touches before they both grab the egg together. Then they get transported into the graveyard. And then Voldemort's there, and then they're like, "There's a showdown, and his sacrifice to make sure Harry stays alive, and he's come back." All of that, all them pieces together, it's just it makes the film so unanimously pleasing.
Yeah, and it shows Harry's character as well, and his selflessness, I guess. So yeah,
To level his selflessness, but also goes to show who Harry is as a character to us, and seeing the development as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always see these films as a crazy arc in terms of each character, but mainly Harry's is the start from the first one. It goes up, and then it kind of fizzles a little bit to then just taking a big spike drop. It's insane. But yeah, that's our number 3, I guess.
It's my number 2 now.
Indeed.
You're not gonna like this. I've gone Order of the Phoenix.
Really?
Yeah, David Yates. This is where Harry takes the lead. It's a coming of age of Harry. He begins to take the fight to Voldemort.
Yeah.
He's, as opposed to everything in the last few films happening to him, Goblet of Fire, it all happens to him. He's in that competition by mistake. Prisoner of Azkaban, it's his godfather hunting him. All of it, Chamber of Secrets, all of it all happens to him. Now he takes it to Voldemort. He assembles his team. I like the montages where he's teaching them how to use magic. Even though he's a bit of a whack wizard himself, he's teaching them all. You begin to see the wizarding world mixed with the real world. With there's a little scene in the tube station.
Yeah.
There's the scene where, what is Harry's brother called? His not brother, cousin.
Harry's cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who?
His family.
Oh, this is on the tip of my tongue, and it's annoying me that I can't. It's left him as well.
No, I can't
Anyway.
remember. I can't remember.
Where he's getting eaten by a Dementor, so Harry's got to save him in the real world.
That's a good scene.
And Harry gets put on trial.
Yeah.
And you start to see politics enter the frame, and the Ministry of Magic's introduction to them and how the world starts to
You're
mix.
not allowed to use magic.
I love
outside
that
and-
angle.
yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that
that's what
angle
I'm
where they
saying.
brought in. My only discrepancy with that is they did the world building, the interlinking between the real world and the
magical,
politics
yeah.
and the core, and I liked all of that. The only thing I didn't like is they brought this kind of jokey lady in some
disagree.
dictatorship lady
disagree.
and just stole the show from
I
the
think
main source
Professor
of the film.
Umbridge is a great villain because you hate her. She's got
Hate
this,
is an understatement.
this fake smile, this evil, remorseless smile.
I think they used her too. It was too forefront in the story for me.
But she's so evil. She takes pleasure out of the kids' suffering when she's etching the thing into their skins. And she's sinister. She's creepy, and you really want to see her fall. Which I think is a really good villain. As well as this, the final battle is like immense. The scene where Harry and his team, I think it's him, Neville, Ron, Hermione, Sirius, and Remus or something, and they're taking on the Death Eaters because they're trying to find that orb. I think
Yeah, in the book,
in the Ministry of Magic.
yeah,
They're trying to find it. Sirius dies. And you're like, oh my god.
that was crazy.
And then Dumbledore comes, has an immense battle with Voldemort.
That was good.
With some of the most crazy sequences with the fire snake
That was the best bit of the film.
and the water, and the CG is incredible.
Yeah.
That was the best bit.
And you see Dumbledore enter final boss mode.
Yeah, and we never seen him that level.
Exactly.
We never seen him at that
You
level.
see him take him. That's a proper high. It's like the
It's
best.
a proper showdown.
It's
Yeah.
the best magic fight scene in the whole franchise, I think. And yeah, I think it sets up the next one. There's Jeopardy. Harry's godfather's dead. There's a fight scenes. There's character building. Everything. I think it's just a really good film.
That's really interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. Your number 2.
Yeah.
Interesting. My number 2 is Prisoner of Azkaban.
Interesting.
A bit high for me.
And for me, it's just those characters, man. It's like I described before. It's the wolf, the rat, the way they play, they think everything into it, the story they go on all together, and essentially just having to defeat, but also discover the past. Like you said, Sirius Black starts off as this villainous. He's wanted, he's scary, and then the arc into he was a good guy all along, but he's just been badly portrayed within the world of magic. He's been framed. I don't know. That film for me is levels above Deathly Hallows Part 1, Half-Blood Prince, everything else. It's just the themes of that just makes it enjoyable to watch. You're also on this journey of, are they going to be able to get everything? Is the rat going to get away with everything he's doing? It's just, there's so many things within there that just makes you go, damn, this film is a film, bro. Yeah.
Cool.
And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean.
Solid film.
I'll tell you, my number 2 is The Half-Blood Prince.
Ooh.
Reason why. One of my favourite moments, again, is when Dumbledore meets Tom Riddle for the first time as a kid in the school he's at.
Asylum sort of.
Yeah, the asylum. And the kid who was acting as Voldemort did such a good job at portraying what sort of a kid he really is. And I like the flashing of that scene where the way they did it in the past, and it's got a different look of it, and how Dumbledore's looking young, and you just really feel that Dumbledore is. You feel like Dumbledore cares about the wizarding community. Obviously, we find out later on down the line he had ulterior motives with certain things, but yeah, for that scene alone for me was so powerful, and again, it sets up 1 and 2 so perfectly. And I think without that film being there, I think that film there is an integral role of the whole Harry Potter franchise for me. Yeah, again, it just sets it up so perfectly.
Yeah. Thing is, again, this is all down to our own interpretation, and I feel like if you were to ask me to rank these films next week, I'd give you a completely different list. I feel like ranking these
They're
films...
all good films.
Yeah, they're all great films.
They're all good films.
just not Chamber of Secrets.
But one more thing, the Half-Blood Prince, again, it really shows. Again, I'm watching back at the trailer to remind myself. Again, the hand scene. When his hand is dying.
You have to keep drinking.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is painful to watch.
Just like he said.
And this is the point, really, where the Death Eaters and Voldemort's crew really get a grip on the school and what's going on. It's the first time where Dumbledore's lost control, Harry's lost control, and they've got part 1 and part 2 to solve what's happened here. So it reaches that climax where, okay, now it's boiled over the edge. They've entered the school. They've entered their sanctuary. Now, number 1 is where it starts, where Hermione's having to wipe her parents' mind.
Just
and
so there's no tie, that sacrifice.
Yeah. And then it's where it builds up. So for me, it's number 2.
Yeah.
We've all got the same number 1.
Indeed, we do.
So number 1 for
Part
all of
2.
us is definitely Hellas. Part 2.
Yeah.
So this
How
film,
can it not be though?
this film's the highest grossing, 1.3 billion. David Yates was tasked with delivering on a $250 million budget split with part 1. And I think he delivered. The perfect culmination of 7 films in the making.
I can't think of a beautiful ending.
Yeah, so I'll go first on this one.
Go on.
So there is so many things in this film that are just brilliant. I'll start with the opening scene. The Gringotts bank scene is a masterpiece in my opinion. The architecture, the design of the characters, everything. Grip hook. They go into the vault via the carriage.
Yeah.
It's just amazing, man. That Gringotts is so satisfying watching that Gringotts. I went to the Harry Potter Studios.
Yeah.
Seeing Gringotts is my favourite thing.
Yeah.
I was
Really?
like, wow.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I still haven't been. I want to go.
Yeah. And about that as well is when you see the difference between 1, where he goes into the vault for the first time to get his coins, to the end, he's like, it's gone full circle now.
Yeah, and learning about the Elder Wand with the wand salesman when he's at the thing. That's brilliant. Ron and Hermione finally get together. Neville gets his payoff when he turns out to be a very integral character. Hero saves the day. The final battle's good.
Oh, the final battle's epic, man.
I like the bit where they jump off the building and they're holding and they're both their faces are mixing together. The Snape reveal, genius.
I was going to say, to add to that, the Snape reveal, the Snape's memories. I mean,
adds a completely different dimension.
We did an episode of, I don't know if it's out yet, but the Interstellar and Christopher Nolan movie ranking. But that scene really, really reminds me of that diary scene when he's talking about his kids in Interstellar, when he's talking about the back history of Snape and how he loved Lily and it didn't work out. That's why he hated Harry's dad. And then how he was there the night Lily got murdered. That scene is just crazy.
Adds a completely another layer to an already powerful story.
Do you see what I mean? And it didn't even need that. It didn't. When I say it didn't need that, I mean, that could have been taken out, and you would have just still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So for that to be in there, and then this happens after Snape's dead as well.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like the teardrop, and then he goes and looks and sees all of that. It's heart wrenching.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like about this film is the whole execution of him being brought back to life when he
Voldemort
dies briefly, and then
Harry,
he's talking to Dumbledore.
Yeah.
In that white room, it just didn't really hit for me.
Well, we should touch on that.
So basically, me and Ty watched this in the cinema.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've just seen, bear in mind, I didn't have any idea what was going on because I must have missed the last 3-4 films.
Yeah.
Wow.
Again, because we're quite young. 2011, we're 11 years old.
We went off the cuff as well.
Okay, cool.
Like Ty's dad just took us.
Yeah.
And we're watching Harry in his room, in the white room. And Harry, he looks under the table and he sees, to this day, I don't even know what it is.
It's like a feral.
It's like Voldemort.
Baby.
As a baby covered in blood. And the tears of laughter that run through our faces were
criminal,
indescribable.
This is a true story. We were in the cinema.
We left. Ty's dad was getting vexed, so we had to leave the screening, get our laugh out.
You're joking.
Go back in,
and we had to leave again. No,
we had to leave again because we couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
And then we must have missed the whole last
we
sequence.
missed the last
We
sequence
were
of the
just
film.
dying of laughter.
Yeah.
Looking at that image.
Yeah, just I don't even know why it was funny.
It
'Cause
just-
I looked at it when I watched
Yeah,
it
it
again.
wasn't
It's
that
not even that funny.
I don't know what got us that day, but I just think,
You just got the giggles.
yeah, I just think it was at that time, 11 years old. It was just funny. I mean, I feel like if we were a bit older, we would appreciate it a bit more. And we
Yeah.
did watch it again, and we appreciated it a lot more.
But that whole part of him saying you're not ready to die or something like that,
Yeah.
didn't really land for me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And last thing I want to say before you lot can go, I was talking about Malfoy being done dirty.
Yep.
Have you not seen a deleted scene of Malfoy in this?
No.
I can't remember.
So basically, you know when Hagrid's holding Harry as they come back to Hogwarts, Malfoy is the one. He runs, snatches the wand, and throws it to Harry.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's leaked footage of it when they're filming
They're
it.
filming Alliance sort of thing.
Yeah, like Malfoy basically saves Harry instead of Harry just coming out of Hagrid's arms.
Yeah.
And that was like Malfoy's big payoff where he ends up being a good boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they should have kept that.
I would say that the soundtrack, another thing on this one. In the last
Statues by Alexander.
I mean, if you're ever
Desplat.
in the gym and you're trying to hit your PB, your rep max or whatever, put that song on.
Typing the preparing Hogwarts scene, it is amazing.
And I think, to be honest, that scene single-handedly is a very contributing factor. Yeah, he's a contributing factor to the whole
Crazy.
reason it's number one. I mean, I still get goosebumps to this day watching that scene.
Like, save our school.
Yeah, it's powerful. And again, that's why I rate David Yates so much. He had the world on his shoulders
And he took it.
to end the franchise like that.
They don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah, it's a shame what happened to Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
But how comes your number one?
I think it's just a great summary to all the films. I think it hits the sweet spot of wanting and the craving, the audience. You've now spent 7 films watching this plot unfold with the villain constantly poking at Harry, and like you're seeing into the past. You're so deep and so invested with these characters, and to see just this finale and this grand, I'm gonna call it the prestige of all.
The arena.
Things. Yeah, the arena.
Yeah.
I think it's incredible. That moment of Harry dies, wakes up, and then, I don't know. It's just, it hits levels beyond like satisfaction with any other sort of film I've seen, especially in any sort of like film franchise series. It rounds it up so well. And just like you said, I think the soundtrack in all films, it's so momentous. It feels so like
Perfect.
yeah,
It just
I
sits
think
right with
perfect
everything.
is the perfect word to describe perfect, isn't it? So, yeah.
I've got a question for you guys. We've done our rankings now. 8 films done. How do you feel about future Harry Potter projects?
I had look. What does that say? Do we need a reboot?
Yeah. How
Are
do
you
you,
talking about a reboot?
anything to do with Harry Potter?
I wrote
Reboot?
that down. I was going to ask. I didn't want to forget to ask you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
Well,
think?
Before we go into it, the only thing we do know right now about a potential reboot, anything,
Is a TV show.
is the TV series
Yeah.
with J.K. Rowling.
I mean, let's put that to the side even.
Okay.
What?
Cool.
Forget about what we know is coming out, what we think's coming out. Part 2 has come out. It was a massive success.
I don't think they should go back.
A lot of 10 year, 25, 10, no 15.
13
My maths is
13
terrible.
years.
13 years has passed. Yeah. What is the move?
They can't go back. They
Okay.
can't reboot it.
No.
Okay.
The only move, in my opinion, is to do Harry's kid. And you just pick it up from when he goes to Hogwarts, because you saw at the end him getting on the bus.
So what angle? I
Train,
mean,
sorry.
there's been so many
Because
aspects
there's a
of
book,
each film.
so they've got the source material.
Okay.
There's a book number 9. What's it called?
Cursed Child.
Cursed Child. That's it.
Yeah.
So they've got the story's all right. I've read it. That book.
Yeah.
It's all right. They've got their material. I think that's the only angle. And what I will say about that angle is, it doesn't interfere with our perception of the
Okay.
First
films.
8, yeah.
So if they screw it up and it's crap,
It doesn't
at
matter.
least we still got our 8 films. It's detached. Harry probably will. Daniel Radcliffe and the crew probably will be in it.
Yeah.
If they do a reboot.
Yeah.
That's cool. But if that's rubbish, we just park it to the side. We still got our 8 films. If you reboot it, it's gonna mess with our perception.
Yeah.
I
And
think
they could undo everything.
I think a reboot would be the worst decision ever because them movies are so perfect. And again, to touch on it, they tried rebooting the series in a way with the with Fantastic
They tried to make
Beasts.
it all American.
Yeah, and I think they missed out. They missed out on.
Did it wrap up like story wise?
I think it did. I think they were signing to do 3, maybe more, but they did the 3.
If they were successful, they would have done it.
Of course they would have, and it's a shame really because it doesn't tarnish what Harry Potter was, but it kind of tarnishes the world a bit. I feel like they didn't have to do that, and they were relinking it to the Wizarding world.
The fact that Harry Potter's British and this one's American has any effect on it?
I think it does, and I think they stretched too far away from the Wizarding world that we knew. They went and done the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find, and it was a J.K. Rowling book, but I just
don't get it.
Yeah,
what the beasts?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't get the approach.
I don't like it at all, and I think that is quite unanimous with everyone else. Yeah, we yet to watch the theatre production.
Yeah,
I think
the Cursed Child.
I think we should go and watch that one day and give our take on that, because that is the only bit of Harry Potter I haven't really seen.
Food Emotions branching out into
into theatre. Why not? Why not? I would like to see that.
Thank you very much for watching this episode. If you liked it, let us know how you felt and give us your ranking in the comments below. If anything, just be honest.
Follow us on TikTok, TT Emotions Top.
Yep. And if there's anything else you'd like us to rank or go through ourselves, just drop it in the comments. We'll obviously reply and even see that anyway. So yeah, thank you very much.
And what's better, Half-Blood Prince or Order of the Phoenix? Let us know in the comments.
That's your debate. But yeah, take care and have a wonderful day.